The way IT interacts with the business is one of uh, great controversy. And unlike just about any other area of an organization, the notion of governance comes up time and time again. Governance is usually brought up in the context of IT when the business feels that it's not getting value from its investment in information technology. So we see organizations working hard to find ways to align the goals and directions of the IT organization with that of the business. We don't see this in sales or in manufacturing or legal for that matter. But within IT, probably because of the level of knowledge that be had to have someone really understand what's going on with IT, as well as the great expense associated with it, governance becomes a big issue. A few years ago, Peter Wheel and Jeannie Ross did research. They're both with MIT, or were at the time, on various models of governing the IT organization. And they wrote a book on IT governance, which has become very popular among managers both within IT and outside of IT. The governance matrix that you see here lists the various ways that Wheel and Ross found that IT is governed. At the top you see business monarchy, and that's where the business itself makes all the IT related decisions. So that would be one extreme. Another extreme would be on the other direction, an IT monarchy, where the IT leadership holds all the decision rights for governing IT. The next three are various combinations of either business or IT governance. The federal model is one where governance rights are shared by the senior executives at the company and possibly at least one other business group. The duopoly model shows that decision rights are shared by the IT folks and then one business group, probably with a C-level executive. The feudal method is where business units possess all of the decision rights for IT. So it's an extreme decentralized model. The last one really isn't about governance, but it's about anarchy. And this is where individual process owners and end users have all the decision rights. So it's very hard to have a long-range plan. It's hard to set an IT architecture. So we typically don't think of anarchy as a governance matrix, as a governing strategy. When we start mapping these various models to what Wheel and Ross called decision domains, we'll see here, come on the left-hand side, we have the 5 governance models. We've left out anarchy. And we're going to look at various items across the top of a matrix. And the first item we're looking at is IT principles. And these are the principles that are used to guide how the company, the organization, uses IT to meet its business goals. So as we put IT principles across the top, we'll see that there are 2 areas under IT principles. One is who has input into those principles and who has decision rights associated with those principles. In the purple dots underneath each column, we'll see what Wheel and Ross found were the most common places where we see IT principles. For example, input to IT principles most often comes at the in a federal model, whereas the decision rights end up with an IT duopoly. So we end up seeing the duopoly, a lower level decision made in terms of the IT principles. The second area in the matrix is the IT architecture itself, and who sets the guidelines and standards for the way the architecture is created and used. Looking at the matrix this time, we'll see that an IT monarchy is a very common place for decisions about the IT architecture to be made. And that makes some sense, at least to some researchers, that those people who most understand the very technical nature of an IT architect are going to be actually found within the IT organization. However, the input as to what needs to happen is more commonly found either in the federal or the IT duopoly areas. So within architecture, we have input about what should be in the architecture, but decisions about the architecture being left up to IT. Next comes the IT infrastructure strategies. And this, the infrastructure strategies are decisions that are wrapped around how a shared set of services is going to be created to meet the business goals. These shared services might be in the form of service-oriented architectures. They may be in things such as web services or cloud computing. And we see that input to what the IT infrastructure should look like is most commonly provided in the federal model, but just like architecture, the actual implementation decisions end up at the IT monarchy. Next comes the business application needs. What business applications does the company have to have in order to meet its requirements? We look at input decisions there, often seen at the in a federal model for both the input and the decision. What systems get made, what systems get built, what systems get paid for, and sometimes in more distributed organizations, the IT duopoly is also seen as where decisions are made about business applications. Finally, we see the item within the matrix is probably the most controversial, and certainly the one that gets plenty of notice in quarterly or annual budgets, is the IT investment prioritization, and although it doesn't say it on the screen here, return on investment calculations. This addresses how much and where to invest IT. And we see this here, the business monarchy, where the business actually makes decisions about what the investment is. And if you'll notice all the way to the left, this is the only place where the business monarchy model tends to have input to the very key area of IT investments. We go down the input column there. Federal is very common, and in the federal model we also see the decisions are made there. So as we think about what this governance matrix is telling us, we see that the federal model of managing IT is the most commonly found one in most organizations, and that has direct results on how effective IT is viewed within the organization, how it gets funded, and how the company feels its investment is paying off. It's useful to also scan across the federal line to see what items are not most commonly found. Decisions such as IT principles, decisions, the IT architecture or the infrastructure, are not found within the federal model.